Guru Nation, welcome back to another episode. We have a very special guest, Dominique Austin. She is a clinical trials associate, a mentor, healthcare advocate, brand ambassador for Black women in clinical research. But I know her because of TikTok, where you guys and gals watching, you may not be on very much. And I'm on there, not as much as I should. But Dominique's on there a lot. And that's how I discovered her. I keep seeing her stuff, and it's like inspiring posts about careers and research. So one of her posts caught my eye. It said, I started as a medical assistant, and now I'm a CTA at a CRO. And she's at a big CRO. Her LinkedIn is underneath this video and in the podcast if you're listening. Go connect with her. But, I got tired of like just saying the same thing over and over. So whenever I see someone else that's literally not just saying what I'm saying, but they lived it, that's Dominique. She lived it. MA. I was never an MA. I just work with MAs and I know what they can do. But
Yeah,
Dominique you'll always still be an MA. She
yeah.
is a MA that's now moved on to bigger and better things in our industry. So thank you so much for coming on, Dominique.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. I'm glad we were able to connect last minute and get you on. Why don't you tell us how you get started, like your MA role, what kind of a
Yes.
setting you were at, and all that
Okay.
kind of stuff.
So I won't go like too far back, but I did I do have my bachelor's in originally I actually started with pursuing nursing. And I then found out that I didn't believe that nursing was for me. So I knew about clinical research all of my life because I had a family member that actually worked in clinical research. So I had the opportunity to be able to see what life was like within this career. She was a clinical research associate. So it kind of piqued my interest because she will always like be at home and traveling. And I'm like, what do you do? So I asked her, and after I graduated from college, I then started to actively pursue this career and just do research regarding like the steps that I need to take, considering that I already have my bachelor's. So I then moved forward, and I did actually watch some of your videos, and I just decided that, I initially I was going to become like a nurse again, but I was like, I don't believe it's necessary for me because I have a bachelor's degree. So I went and got my CCMA, Certified Medical Assistant certification, and it was a 3-month course that I did. And I then went into working into ENT at a doctor's office where I was able to acquire, clinical skill sets that will allow me to gain some more experience, right? So I gained experience within this career and just being a medical assistant, which was really fun, nice. I learned a lot. And then I transitioned over to the site working as a research assistant. So that's where I really kind of broke into the career. And I do believe that me being a medical assistant allowed me to do that because of the
Hmm.
experience, clinical skill sets that I obtained. And that's what I see in a lot of these like sites are looking for in regards to the lab technician roles or the medical or research assistant roles, CRC roles. So it was just the transferable skills that I had that caught their eye for me to transfer over.
Oh yeah, the MA. I mean, I as a site owner in a kind of a underserved community here in Yuma, there's no such thing as a trained CRC, only the ones that worked for us.
Yeah.
So we have to hire like for potential, and
Mhm.
I'm out here preaching to the MAs and CNAs on a weekly basis. Like you guys, you have no idea what this industry can afford you. So I'm so glad when I ran across your TikTok and I saw that you're also telling people basically the same thing. I mean, they have no idea, Dominique, that like when you're a MA, CNA, farm tech, lab tech, phlebotomy tech, all that stuff's like kind of you get similar ceilings, right? Like you can
Mhm.
only make so much until that's it. Like, and then okay, maybe they'll let you be like the lead MA, but
Right.
even then, like that's not much of a difference. But in
Yes.
research, you're talking about like shattering through ceilings and really
Yeah.
doing like as much as you want to do.
Yeah, I just did a it's funny you said that. I just did made some content, did a video about that because when I, of course when I was an MA, this was a stepping stone for me, but I did realize as I was in this space that a lot of people did were not aware of clinical research. And as I continued to, especially get into the career, I realized like, wow, there's not a lot of people within healthcare that are aware of this career. And as soon as I transitioned over into my position, my income increased 20K. So, I mean,
As soon as you went from MA to clinical research assistant, you weren't even coordinator. You were basically a coordinator, but you were called a clinical
yeah,
research assistant, right?
yeah. So I did a video talking about that because I'm like, just like you're saying, as an MA, you only, the earning potential within this role is so much, right? And then sometimes you have to go or you have to do so many years until you get a raise, or you may have to go back to school if you only have your associates. So, there's a lot of discussion we can have regarding that, but just being able to transition over into clinical research and then increase your salary with the skill sets you already have, and then the career advancement already with you transitioning into clinical research increases as well.
Yeah.
Um,
But how
so
did you, because we know like when we're on the other side, it's obvious, right? But there's probably MA, you probably have MA followers on TikTok or CNA that for them it's not so obvious. It still seems risky. Like, well, this sounds like a scam. When I have job interviews for the majority of people that apply are MAs, CNAs,
mhm,
they all tell me I thought this was a scam. Like before I came in, I thought, what is
mhm,
this? I've never heard of clinical research. It sounds like something shady going on.
mhm,
It's too good to be true almost because of what they're used to doing. And then what we do is like kind of different.
mhm. Well, I've never heard of that, but I mean, I could see how that, could they could think that, but
What
I
did
mean,
you think? How did you know about research though? Like when you were at MA doing ear, nose, and throat, what did you?
well, I already had exposure to it because of I had a
Ah,
family member that worked in clinical research. So I guess for me, that's why, I just
uh,
always knew about it because she was always like a mentor to me anyway. So
gotcha,
like, I never had that mindset of like not knowing about the career.
gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
But I could say that, for people that have that mindset, like to just do the research, like look and see because like you have content about it. I have content. There's people that have credible sources that are in the career, right? Where you can go and just look and see like this is real, like this is actually a career. This is something that is necessary within healthcare. I mean, it's just a matter of like obtaining the information for you to have a sound understanding of it, and then just recognizing that, okay, well, this is something that I actually can do because especially if you're MA or CNA, like you typically already have the skill sets to transition over. So yeah.
So you knew, that's right. Good point. You brought that up. You knew about it from a family member, family friend, right? Family member.
Yes, yeah.
And so that they also were a CTA. So that's important part. So you got lucky basically, because not everyone gets lucky. Like a lot of people imagine Dominique, if that wasn't the case, like you'd be MA for 5, 10 years and then maybe just like a lifer. I know a lot of MAs that's gonna be their career, and there's nothing wrong with that, but a lot of them I know they want more. A lot of them feel underappreciated and underpaid and overworked. The MAs are some of the hardest working people in
Yes.
healthcare.
Yes, I definitely understand. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly why I took the initiative to um make a platform promoting clinical research and just really life within clinical research too, because I know there's a lot of information out there regarding the roles, the position, and the knowledge. But I know for me, like when I was in college, I just wanted to see like, okay, like what would my life potentially look like if I transitioned over to this role or this career. So that's a lot of things like what I do on my platform as well, just kind of showcasing the life, like understanding like the things that are people are saying this is true. This is what life looks like. I work in this career, you can see it, it's real. So I would have loved to have that like when I was in college, to be able to say and be able to kind of just analyze and say, well, that looks like something I would be willing to do, or no, I don't think that is for me. So yeah.
So from research assistant, which was basically a coordinator from what it sounds like at the site,
Yeah.
uh, you moved on to a CRO. Did you get approached by them, or you put your resume out, or did you always want to be in a CRO?
Yeah, so I did want to be a CRO because I was definitely interested working remotely. So I did reach out to different CRO companies, and the one that I work for now, I reached out to them, and they, went through the process, phone interview, and then I was hired within like a week, honestly.
Wow.
But what's interesting, because I know I have a lot of people that, they're like, well, nothing's working, I'm not getting calls. And I just, one, you have to be very patient, because as I started the process of applying, it didn't happen right away. Maybe I think I was applying maybe for 3 months or
Mhm.
around 2, 3 months. And I was, a RA at this time. And when I actually initially applied to my company, I did a phone interview, but there was no response. But then they called me back, and then we went through the full process. So, um, I just tell people, you just keep applying, like don't give up, and you just never know like what the company may be experiencing at that time.
Yes. And another thing, I'm glad you brought it up. It doesn't happen overnight, although for you, it almost did. It was 10 months of you being a RA that you got your CRO job. But here's what they really want to see. They want to see someone working somewhere else already, especially a CRO. They're not, if you have that purple looking to work thing on your profile, I mean, I'm gonna sound like maybe some people won't like it, whatever. The way I feel, you shouldn't be applying when you're desperate. You should be applying when you already have something, but you want to move on to something else. And
Mm.
I know that's like chicken and the egg. There's some times where you don't have a job. Well, yeah, then what else can you do? Well, you can intern, you can volunteer, but you gotta be productive when you apply, especially when it's these CROs or sponsors. It's gonna take time. Like you heard from Dominique, it was like 3 months. It wasn't 3 days.
Yeah. No, it wasn't, yeah. So, and literally that's what I did. Like that's interesting that you said that, because initially I was just like, oh my gosh, like I want to, move up. But then when I just kept applying and just let it go, it just seems like that's when they contacted me, and I got the position. So yeah, I agree with.
Yes. How was it at the site? You were the research assistant. How did how were your experiences there, do you think?
Um, it was really fun, and I will say that I learned a lot. And during this time of the transition, I will say there was a lot of stressful times. I learned how to I already knew how to work under pressure, but I learned how to work under pressure in like I really strengthened this skill. I strengthened my leadership skills, organization skills, just like a lot of skills I was able to strengthen with transitioning over to the site, and working in clinical research. But as I obtained the experience and I kept going day by day, I got better and the pressure kind of alleviated, right? And it helped me to understand why experience is so important in clinical research, because a lot of times, you have to have experience to continue to move forward, and you have to do these tasks and these different things in order to gain the experience. Because as you do them more, they become easier for you, right?
Yep.
So I learned a lot, and I was able to have my hands in a lot too, because I did lab processing and lab samples, I mean vitals, patient visits, data entry. So I was able to just see so many different sides and spectrums. I even sometimes assisted in the pharmacy. So it was just a lot. I just learned a lot, and it was really, really fun.
You
So
learn so much at the site level that people don't appreciate that enough, I don't think. And the only places that will hire people with no research experience are sites. From what
yeah,
I'm aware of, that's the
yeah,
only places that are gonna mess with you guys is like people like me. Like I need to find somebody that has potential,
mm,
and like MA, CNA, like you said, it's perfect because you already have so many transferable skills that we need. Now it's just a matter of teaching research.
yeah, exactly. And honestly, I mean, I've seen people that have not worked at the site get hired as CROs, but I will say it's only been because of like a referral or
Ah,
they know someone, right? And that's just true. I mean, that's true.
that's true. Do they
So,
last though? Do they last?
I don't know.
I don't
You know,
know either. The sad thing is they do last because even if it doesn't work out at that CRO, they have that experience. They can go to another one, and then by that point, they've learned something already to not get fired. So
yeah,
this industry is crazy because there's so much going on, and there's so few people that are qualified enough to do the jobs
yes, yeah,
that you can get away with a lot. Um, which is kind of what makes the negative stuff of people lying to get jobs and all that stuff. There's a lot of that going on.
wow,
That's unfortunate, but
yeah,
for most people that if you want to work your way into this space, you can. Like if you're an MA, look what Dominique did. If you're a CNA, if you're a lab tech, whatever ancillary roles there are, that's the blueprint.
yeah,
Move from that to a site and then either stay at the site forever, and that's up to the site to keep you, right? At that point, like I want to keep my good employees. I don't want my good employees going to a CRO. So at
yeah.
that point, I'm competing. If I want to keep Dominique and she's got a CRO, I want Dominique to talk to me, and I'm telling Dominique, hey, what can we do to make you stay here? Yeah, they pay more, but do you realize this, and that? You got to travel. And CTA, you don't travel, do you?
So I have traveled, but it's not like I don't travel as much, but if they need me to, right, then I will. I have went on a work trip, but it's not consistent like a CRA. Um,
Yeah.
s- yeah.
CRA is steady travel, but that's why they get paid the big bucks that they do.
Mhm.
Uh, is that something you've thought about doing, or are you
Yeah,
okay with
that
the?
actually is my long that's actually like why I started moving into the career initially, to become a CRA. And as I being within the CTA role at my company, because we assist the project managers, because I know some CTAs assist the like CTMs or CRAs, right? But I like how they kind of have the role within my company, because it allows me to see like all spectrums of the CRO, because like I'm working with project management. So like I'm seeing clinical operations, data management, regulatory, and I was able to kind of just see like kind of what the other roles are doing, to just kind of I at one point in time I was like, let me just really sit back and see if I want to be a CRA, because I do also want to tell people, because I know there's a lot of people that want to be a CRA, but they're not thinking about like all of what that really comes with, right?
They're not thinking about anything except the pay that they heard their
Yeah.
friend is getting.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than, what people I believe are seeing. Because even like when I went on my first work trip, and travel and a lot of money, it sounds nice, but like if you're someone that travels a lot, it's one draining. Traveling a lot is draining. You have to take that into consideration. And then clinical research in general is not it's not an easy career. I mean, it's challenging, especially within the CRA role. So you're having to meet demands, you're having to meet timelines along with traveling. And and then taking in consideration, like I know I've talked to people that they did this role and they were like had a family, or there's just so many things that you just have to kind of think about, that it's besides like the money and the travel, right? Because I know a lot of people, they say, for someone that doesn't have, like, I don't have kids, I don't have a family, so ideally, okay, that's good. But when you're implementing and thinking about the fact that you may have a family and things like that, you have to take in consideration that you may not be at home as much, and things like that. So, um,
Yep. Quality of life.
mhm.
It's one of the biggest draw points of sites. You know how many CRAs, Dominique, go back to being coordinators for take a huge pay cut? Like there's a lot that do that. And they might do the CRA thing, okay, I'll get my money right now for 5 years, 7 years, but then they want to go have family, and it's really tough. I've interviewed mothers, fathers, CRAs that do it, single mothers.
Yeah,
Hats off to them, because I don't see how they're able to do it, and the site can afford those luxuries even at the cost of less pay.
yeah, yeah. I definitely agree.
But people
Um,
don't want to hear any of that. So I'm
they
glad,
don't.
bless your heart, you're on TikTok doing that, because that we need more of that. We need reality check for people out there.
Yeah, definitely reality check. And I was glad that I was able to just kind of see and just kind of even consider these other roles like project management, or just opening my mindset to other things, that are not just within clinical operations. Because I mean project management, I mean, I think that's a good path to go down. And um
Yeah, yeah.
they still even sometimes travel, right? I mean, it depends on where the company work for, right? But
Mhm.
there's so many different roles that you could, fulfill, that still make a lot of money, and they may not be as demanding. So I think people just,
CTM too.
yeah, CTM, right. I think people just have to really like honestly ask themselves, like, is this something I'm really passionate about? Like, do I really honestly like the role and the job duties that the CRA does, because there's other things that come with it. So yeah.
But yeah, I know. But do people really ask themselves that? Like, they'll hear it from me, they'll hear it from you now, they'll hear it from others, but they still, when you need a certain income, you're gonna do what you need to do to get that job, and then you'll realize later, hey, you know what? This was a little too stressful. I'm gonna push back on my CRA. I'm gonna ask my line manager if I could be an in-house CRA, or the other roles they have, CTA. So we see a lot of that, and that's why I think there's a lot of turnover in this
Yeah.
industry too.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. So, and then just the pressure too. I know that that role has a lot of pressure, I believe. So that's something to take in consideration as well.
A lot. And then it also age, where you are in terms of planning family or not.
Mhm.
The way I see it is try to get as many skills as you can, like be a generalist in as short period of time as possible, so that you're kind of always in demand. Um,
Yeah.
and we've seen people do that have gone on to start their own consulting companies, and because they know basically everything. So when a small biotech wants to launch a study, they'll call this person and say, hey, you know how to do like the majority of these things, or at least you could connect us with people. And those are the kind of people that really provide value and get paid disproportionate to their skills, or the hours they put in,
Mhm.
because they're getting paid for their value, not so much for the hours. So once you shift that paid for hours, which we all have to do it initially to some extent. We're always doing it. But if you can get to that paid for value, I think that's like when magic happens.
Yeah, I agree. That's my family member that I mentioned to you. She's my aunt, and that's something that she did as well. That she did actually that exact thing. Um, so I
Super
mean,
good.
yeah, and that's why I like clinical research too. There's so much opportunity within the career. I mean, there's so many, I mean, different paths you can go down. I mean, if you just wake up one day and you're like, you know what, I don't want to work in clinical operations anymore. Let's try data management. I mean, or let's go to finance. I don't know. Like there's so many different avenues, and that's another thing that I like about it. And just like you said, the consulting, being a consultant and having,
Huge.
yeah, I mean, if you're entrepreneur minded, or if you are the type of person that maybe one year you're like on this path and then the next year you're like, oh, I want to do something different. I think this is a good career for people like that. Um,
Yeah. I just interviewed earlier today. This is my work from home day. So I interviewed a pharmacist who became she got sick of being a pharmacist. It's not unlike your story, really. It's just she was a pharmacist and she got tired of her job and she took a step back to be like a research assistant also. And then now she's a pharmacovigilant, like clinical trial manager. She's written protocols in like 2 years. 2 years.
That's great. I mean, like it's so many, I mean, and then with clinical research, you're like always learning something new, right? Like I'm the type of person I love learning, right? It's what keeps me going. And I will say when I worked in healthcare, I mean, there's things that I learned, but it was pretty redundant. I will say it was like you go to work and you're doing kind of the same task, and that honestly bored me. So I like in clinical research how, you're always learning something new. There's always something more to learn. And there's always a different path you can go down, or something that comes up. So I'm more of a
It's
like,
always something new.
yeah.
You're right. The science, because we're on the forefront of science, so these are things that are not proven yet.
Hmm.
And what, 9 out of 10 of them will fail. But that doesn't mean you wasted your time on those things because you're still learning something different about
Yeah.
what could work next time. And it's all therapeutic area expertise. Like you're gaining all that, whether the drug gets approved or not, doesn't matter. You're gaining your skill set and you're really becoming like a few, part of the few people out there that actually know what they're doing in this space. I mean, there's even the jobs you have, the job I have, there's not that many people that could just do what we do. It takes years to get the experience.
It definitely does. It's not, and that's why what we were saying earlier with people that are just wanting to get in this career for the money. I try to tell people like just be very careful with that, because it's you just like just really doing this self-analysis, like can I work under pressure, am I really fit for this career? Because everyone it looks nice and it is wonderful, but I just believe you just have to have certain skill sets to like strive in this career or prosper, because it can be challenging at times. So for me, I realized about myself that I actually like working under pressure. It's one of my strong skill sets. So for me, this is a perfect career for me. But there's some people that's not something that, they're strong at or even like doing. Like some people just don't like working under pressure. And I believe that this is a career that, you might want to have that skill set under your belt, and like learning and things like that. So
It's everything. I'm on your TikTok right now.
okay.
Uh, hashtag Clint Gurley. Everybody go. Well, you connect with Dominique on LinkedIn and then message her, and then she'll give you the TikTok. Because TikTok's weird with links and all that. Or maybe I'm just old, Dominique. I
Or
don't know.
well, all of my social media handles is the Dominique Austin. So
Ah, I
TikTok
see it. Yeah.
to the Dominique Austin. So
Are you
Mhm.
the biggest TikToker researcher now? What
I don't know.
you get good follower. I follow you. The Dominique Austin.
Mm.
4,000, 4,200 approaching. It's really good. What inspired you to do the TikTok?
Okay, this is funny to me because actually, like, no one really around me knows clinical research, and I always say, like, clinical research is kind of like a foreign language to people that don't, that don't work in the career. And I would talk to people, like my friends, about it, but they didn't really know what I was talking about. So I was like, I'm gonna post on social media and just raise awareness. And then people just started gravitating to it, and I'm like, okay, now I have a community where we're all on the same page, and you know what I'm talking about. So I just kind of wanted to make relatable content, funny content, and just, informative content all in one. So that's really why I started. I just wanted to be
Yeah.
able to do this career for people's awareness, and it just kind of just blew up. I
Yeah,
honestly,
and I just followed on Instagram too. You have this one pinned.
yeah,
Uh, what? Because your hashtag's clinic girly. When
yeah,
you're a black girly that works in clinical research, work from home, have a great salary, get unlimited. See, this is the kind of stuff that works, people. You guys think TikTok is like a joke. This is actually get like eyeballs. We
yeah.
we use TikTok ads for my site to get patient. You wouldn't believe we're getting 60-year-olds calling, "Oh, I saw it on TikTok." I would have never
Yeah,
expected.
yeah. Yeah. And that's another reason why I do it too. Not even just for the people that want to transition over into this career, but just for, patients, right? Just for people to understand. Like there's a lot of people in regards to just patients that don't even know about clinical research and what it
Hmm.
can do for them, right? So just awareness on a full spectrum is just the mission of me, promoting this page and this lifestyle, right? So,
I like it. I love other content creators that try to do this, that stick around, because we need more. Like we there's I've been doing this since 2010 on online, but I'm still not impacting. Like someone will resonate more with you, Dominic, and we need more awareness because there's such a shortage of staff and in this space and patients too, but the patients are the hardest ones to get. I think if we get the staff, you get a better chance of getting patients like one on
yeah.
one.
And honestly, I went to an event that CVS sponsored, and I don't know if they still do it, but they kind of do like outreach, right, to communities to raise awareness,
Hmm.
clinical research. And it really inspired me because it was like a very creative type of event where they kind of implemented like art with clinical research. And it was like a play to have people to understand like what clinical research is, like what it does for people, how it helps people, and kind of just like take away the negative uh things that people are kind of saying about it. Because I know sometimes people are not understanding of how it works, and but I definitely agree with you regarding the fact that there needs to be more awareness about this career, and that more patients need to, be aware of it and what it can do for them, and the benefits to it on all spectrums.
Yeah, I have no idea how I didn't meet you earlier. It's just because of TikTok. You know why I'm on there? I'm looking for memes to post on LinkedIn. And then every now and then I come across your stuff. And I always like it because I'm like, okay, she's telling MAs and CNAs like
Mhm.
what it is. And then I just,
There's a lot of nurses that I've kind of connected with or that follow that are like in the space of like, I just need something new, or they're burned out, right?
mm,
And they're like, I tell them about that because it's real. Like in healthcare, you can experience burnout. I mean, it's something that I've experienced, right? And some nurses are kind of like in this position where they make so much and they feel like there's not something they can transition to. So I'm like, well, you have clinical research. Clinical research, you have the same opportunity to make what you make now or more. I know some nurses make a lot, but still, just to be able to transition from bedside to then working at home, to traveling, that's a big shift, right? And then having like 12-hour shifts to transitioning over to more flexibility, right? So, I mean, there's so many things that we could sit here and talk about regarding just the importance of like what I'm doing and what I'm doing to raise awareness within this career.
Well, we're gonna have to do more collabs, part 2 and 3. But I'll keep following you on TikTok and now on Instagram. Just followed to keep up the work that you're doing. I think you've been giving good messages to not just MAs and CNAs, like you said, nurses, healthcare providers that resonate with that kind of content. Sometimes it's short form, and you have for the longer ones, it's your YouTube channel. So it's very nice to meet you, Dominique, and I'm glad we're connected. Thank you
Yes.
for coming on.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this. It was nice meeting you, and I definitely look forward to, connecting more in the future and just spreading more awareness within clinical research.
That's right. We're just getting started, just like Dominique, guys. Go follow her LinkedIn right now. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Bye bye.